Hello everybody, how are we doing? Thank you for joining me. An impromptu live stream, which I don't do very often. I usually plan them days in advance, but I haven't done tonight. I just thought, got a bit of time free. I'm going to do this. I haven't done one yet in August. So hello everybody, I hope you can hear me, see me okay. Let me know if there's any problems with that. Well, there's a few of you here already, which is great. Thank you very much. I haven't got things like a World Cup or anything like that planned for tonight, and that's deliberate because when I do those, I never get a chance to focus on the chat and what you're all saying. I miss too much. So I wanted to do a live stream where I didn't have anything like that planned, where I can focus on what you're all saying and we can have a good chat. So hello everybody who's saying hello. Thank you all for joining me. Let's have some questions. Let's have some things that you want to have a chat about. I've got one or two things. The title of the video might give away a suggestion of where we might go during this chat, but nothing's off limits as long as it's within the bounds of British decency, of course. Yes. Oh, blimey, there's a lot of people here early on. This is very good. It's been a funny week with the Beatles announcement, for example, about the first US visit stuff. Not quite what I was expecting, and it doesn't feel like this is it. I think there's going to be more to it than what's been announced so far. If it is just going to be a series of social media posts and a few things on the merch store, I don't think that's what it's going to be. I think there's going to be more than that coming, but we will see. We'll talk more about that as we go through. Hi, James Boyce. Have you got your one hand clapping ticket booked yet? Oh, yes. I'm going to Scarborough. Of course, mentioned in Old Siam, sir. I'm going to Scarborough on the 26th, isn't it? September, the first night that it's out. So, yeah, looking forward to that. It's going to be interesting to see what it looks like on a cinema screen because I don't think it's going to look great. It was filmed on video, and even the remastered stuff that's been coming out on YouTube, for example, it's not great picture quality. I expect the sound quality to be really good, but what a shame it wasn't really well filmed. I don't think it's going to look great on a cinema screen, but yeah, really looking forward to that, and the backyard session as well that they're going to be showing with that. That'll be good. Hi, Mike Oliver. Hello, Andrew. Hope your summer is going well. Let's brush over that one and move on, to be honest. Hi, Mark. Am I still coming to Beatlefest on Sunday? Yeah, I made the decision yesterday that I'm going to go to Liverpool this weekend for the... I think, is it officially titled the International Beatles Week or something? I used to go quite often years ago, but it's years since I've been to this end of August bank holiday Liverpool thing. But yeah, decided yesterday I'm going to go on Sunday, going to get the train through, spend the day there on Sunday. So if any of you are going to be in Liverpool on Sunday, come and say hello if you see me. I think I'm getting into Liverpool about 11 o'clock, heading back out about 7 o'clock, something like that. Hi Leonardo from Argentina. Big Sky says, is there going to be a DVD or Blu-ray of Let It Be? I wish we knew. I'd be surprised if there isn't. I expect, and this is just, I don't have any information on this, but I would expect or hope that they've got a deal in place similar to what happened with Get Back. That came out. I mean, it was all right. The release, the DVD Blu-ray release of Get Back had the least love put into it of any product I think that's ever been released. Disney didn't want to do it. I think they had the hand forced. But yeah, I certainly hope that's going to happen. I'm trying to keep up with the chat, but it's going quite quick. Hi Declan, have you seen Blur to the End yet? Absolutely brilliant. No, but I have ordered it on Blu-ray. I think it's the end of September, isn't it? I've ordered the Blu-ray that's got To the End with Live at Wembley, so I'm looking forward to watching that, definitely. Hello Bobby in South Africa, how are you doing? SM347, are you going to watch Paul McCartney in Manchester? No, couldn't get a ticket. I'd really tried. When do you think he will release his new 2024 album? I think he'll debut a song on this leg of the tour. Well, let's take that in order. Yeah, I couldn't get a ticket for Manchester. I really tried. I was in Croatia at the time on holiday and spent hours in queues, and I could not get a ticket. I might still be able to get one on the secondary market, possibly between now and then. So we'll see. Crazy for Beatles says, make sure you go to the Casbah. It's great to see the Casbah in the news this week with the launch finally. I feel like I've been following this renovation of the Casbah for 3 or 4 years now. It feels like I've been watching it on Twitter, for example, all the photos that they've been putting up and their updates on where they're at. I definitely want to go and stay at the Casbah overnight. I expect it'll be really busy for the first few weeks or months. We'll see, but I've been to the Casbah. I've been on the tour down in the basement with Rogue Best, and I would still say, if a Beatles fan said to me, "I've never been to Liverpool before, what do I need to do?" Casbah is top 2. I would always say go to the Casbah before going to the Cavern, definitely. Yeah, so I'll definitely love to go and stay there overnight sometime. Maxter, 1878, how you doing? Gutted, Andrew. Would love to have met you, but you're in Wales this weekend. Maybe next time you're here. Maybe next time. Yeah. Hi, Martin. Did I see Paul singing Rocking in the Free World? That was with Chad Smith, wasn't it, from Red Hot Chili Peppers? I assume it was. I saw him doing I Saw Her Standing There with Chad on drums. I assume the Rocking in the Free World was from the same... I think it was just at a party or something, wasn't he? Was he in LA? Certainly in America somewhere. But yeah, I saw the I Saw Her Standing There. Not sure Paul had quite warmed his voice up properly, but does he ever? It's something he doesn't seem to get involved with doing. Brooks, will we see London Town and Back to the Egg release before 28-29? Who knows? I hate to... I don't want those words to come out of my mouth that we're presuming that the archive collection is dead. I dare admit it. But I think it's at the point now where he's got to prove us otherwise. It's missing, presumed dead. Are they going to save it for 50th anniversaries? Don't know. Spam. What have you been listening to recently? What have I been listening to recently? I've been listening to One Hand Clapping a lot. Obviously, the Mind Games stuff over the past couple of months as well. But to be honest, the last couple of months, I've not been in a mood for listening to albums. It's just literally been random shuffles. I've got a bit out of an album vibe at the moment, but I think as it gets into autumn and winter, settling back down with albums will be the thing again. Shout out Sam, who tunes into your videos religiously. Hello Sam. Thank you very much. People want Let It Be on Blu-ray 4K and Man on the Run the same way when it comes out. Yeah, that's gone a little bit quiet, hasn't it, on the Man on the Run Paul McCartney documentary, but hopefully it's all gone quiet because they're really busy working on it. So hopefully we'll get to find out something about that at some point fairly soon as well. Right, what else have we got? Penny Lane says, have I finished the Mal Evans book yet? I haven't. This summer has been a complete write-off in so many ways. It's there. I can see it. It's right there. I keep dipping into it. I just don't get time to read a lot at the moment. And I'm also conscious as well of the fact that McCartney Legacy Volume 2 is coming out fairly soon. And I've got to dedicate time to that. Absolutely. There's no way that that's sitting on the shelf unread for a while. Peter Boothroyd, you'll be in Liverpool on Sunday. Yes, please come and say hello if you see me. I haven't got any plans yet for Liverpool. I don't know what we're doing. I'm meeting my auntie and uncle there, and I don't know yet. I guess we'll be around Matthew Street at some point, and maybe I don't know. I really don't know. Astro J, why wouldn't Scott Roger or MPL just come out and say the archive collection is dead? I think the only time I've ever seen Scott Roger, Paul's manager, publicly talking about this, he did a video years back, didn't he, where he said something like, well, we're looking at the archive collection being something like 12 or 13 editions, and that's roughly where we're at now. So is it the case that they've done the ones that they wanted to do? I really don't know. What else have we got? Goldilocks. Anthony, I'll come back to you in a second. What's the latest that a deluxe Rubber Soul could be announced if it's to make a 2024 release? Sorry to say it, but all the evidence seems to point to we're not getting Rubber Soul this year. people who seem to know about these things are insisting it ain't happening. Now, whether things have been locked down in terms of secrecy so much that even the people who usually know about these things don't know, we'll see. It'll take us all by surprise. But the word is, it's not happening this year. So we'll see. Anthony, what were you saying? You were listening to Chaos and Creation, and if you got How Much Promise to You Girl sounds like an early Wings song. The harmonies and lead guitar could be right from Red Rose Speedway. Interesting. I've often wondered about, and I don't mean this in a disparaging way towards Paul, but how much stuff that he's recorded over the last few years is actually from that mountain of songs that he must have had from the 70s and maybe a decade either side. We know, for example, Frank Sinatra's Party was resurrected from a song that he'd written in the 70s, but I wonder how much other stuff that we assume to be brand new is actually something that he's had knocking around for decades. Don't know. Crazy for Beatles. Mal Evans' daughter was at Chicago Fest. She got to say thanks to Peter Jackson for naming the AI program after him. Was a sweet moment. Fantastic. I think it's probably worth just mentioning the other Peter Jackson thing from Chicago Fest for anybody who's not aware of it. This wasn't new information as such. It was more an update on something that we already knew. So I think Peter Jackson gave a bit of an update from what I understand. That so if you don't know already, Peter has bought the Hamburg Star Club tape, the actual physical tape of the Star Club concert in Hamburg. He owns that now. And his plan is to use the MAL technology to try and get that sounding as good as he can possibly get it. His intention then, he's already said this publicly, his intention is to say to Apple, the heads of Apple, do you want to hear what I've done? Are you interested in releasing it? And so he gave the update, to my understanding, he gave the update at Chicago to say that he's well underway with that progress now of getting the MAL software to get something from the Hamburg tapes. I don't think I think he said it wasn't ready yet, but certainly he's on with it, which is great. Dean says, "Hi Andrew, nice to see you live again, and nice to see you all here again." I know I mean to do these more often, but yeah, things get in the way. I wasn't able to get a McCartney ticket myself, hoping to get on resale on the run up to the UK shows. Yeah, same here. Martin says, "Will Lewison ever release Volume 2? It's actually ridiculous." I have no knowledge of this, but I get the feeling for the first time. I get the feeling that we might be within a year. Could be completely wrong. I've never thought that before. I've always thought it's years away. Now it feels like, could it actually be on the cards? There was some website a few months ago went with Volume 2. It was like a bookshop or online bookshop or something. It went with Volume 2, released 2025. I don't know where on earth it got that information from, but it's just a feeling. Maybe we're not that far away now. I suspect he's been doing volumes 2 and 3 together, and so it's not going to be a case of volume 2 is done, right now start volume 3. I suspect he's well on the way with volume 3 as well. Beetle Dave, how are you? You also couldn't get tickets for Manchester. That is a shame. It was crazy. I wonder if there's a feeling among people of, well, is this the last time? Is it going to be the last time that people can go and see him? I don't know. We'll see. What else have we got? Peter Jackson at Chicago Fest said that Michael Lindsay Hogg should push Apple for a Blu-ray 4K release. Also, he would not confirm or deny if he's working on cleaning up the anthology stuff. Yeah, so we know from what Peter's said that him and Michael Lindsay Hogg did record a director's commentary, like a joint director's commentary, which would be quite interesting because they'll both come at it from completely different angles. And they did that at least a year or two ago. So hopefully that means that the plan is for it to happen. I'm sure it will. I'd be really surprised if they don't. Rob, sorry you were late. That's okay. I will accept. I'll accept a note to apologise for you being late. If you ever listen to what do you say? What do you think is coming out Beatle wise this year? So, I mean, there's various things we know of. So, obviously Ringo's. I don't think we've got the date yet, but there's going to be a Ringo country album. There's going to be the John Lennon, the meditation mixes. I wanted to talk about those at some point as well. They're going to be coming later on this year. We're still hopeful that there's going to be a Paul McCartney album. George, just forget it. I think Living in the Material World is coming, but I doubt it'll be this year. Beatles-wise, this is where I was saying right up at the top, at the start, about the US visit stuff that they've announced this week, where they said they're going to be doing a series of social media posts, releasing photographs, information about the Beatles' first US visits. But it feels like there might be a lot more than that. It's certainly been rumoured again by the people who maybe are in the know on these things. It's been suggested that your big physical Beatles product for this year could be to do with the Beatles' first US visit. So, for example, there was the Maisel brothers film that supposedly there's something like 20 hours of footage there. Obviously, a lot of it will be not usable probably for commercial release, but there might be something a lot bigger they can build of maybe a documentary or a sort of a tour film. Would there be an accompanying album of it? Maybe a Washington DC concert, something like that. That certainly seems to be where the rumours are heading for this year. So in terms of Beatles' physical product, that seems to be the likely thing that's being suggested, but certainly not definite. Well, what else have we got? Yeah, Jason, the old millennium. You hope that Mark Lewison's doing volume 2 and 3 together, because the wait between books is unbearable. I mean, I don't envy him the task that he's got. It is an incredible task that he's got to pull together something. Is he waiting because he thinks he can add more and more to it? Should it be that he should get volume 2 done and out, and then maybe an online version that can be added to? If he finds out new things. The book is the book once it's printed, but could there be an online version that actually gets updated as if new information comes along? Of course, one of the big things is actually interviewing the people who are around, and sadly, so many of them aren't nowadays, and that's only going to get worse. Hi Tyrone, your Paul McCartney tickets were easy to get. I'm glad for you. They weren't for everybody. Yeah, some of us had real trouble. Martin says, do you like the Dylan song Blind Willie McTell? I do. I really, really do. It's on... in fact, so we'll use props, shall we? I think it's on this. Bootleg Series Volumes 1 to 3. Pretty sure it's on here somewhere. I think it's on here somewhere. Where is it? Maybe I've got the wrong one. Have I got the wrong one? No. Yeah, it's a great song. Why it didn't get released at the time. It's another example of Bob Dylan just... Sometimes his albums don't contain the best material that it could. It was a bit like with the Another Self-Portrait bootleg series, where you realised, flipping heck, there's some great songs here. They certainly got nowhere near the original Self-Portrait album, which was pretty bad. Jonathan Robertson, this is an interesting point you're bringing up. You would forgive the death of the archive collection if we got an official release of Cold Cuts and Return to Pepperland. So being a bit more general than that, I think the fact that we've had things like Underdubbed this year, One Hand Clapping, is fantastic. I love it. And it almost, to me, makes up for the lack of archive collections. So I would want loads more of that kind of thing. And they feel as though they may be 50th anniversary related. The fact that they're coming out, One Hand Clapping was in 74, Underdubbed. Well, it's from 73, of course, true MPL style. They managed to be a little bit late with it. But if they are doing 50th anniversary stuff, because that can be useful for copyright protection reasons or copyright extension reasons, then there could be some real good mid-70s stuff coming over the next few years. It was rumoured a couple of years ago that 1975 Wings Over Australia was being prepared for release. Now, of course, that's never happened, but could it be maybe next year? If he is doing something to protect copyright on the 50th anniversaries, might that be something that we see next year? That would be interesting. But yeah, would it lead to an official release of Cold Cuts and Return to Pepperland? I mean, my ideal, what I would absolutely love, is a press-to-play archive that contains Return to Pepperland. That would be heaven. Absolutely fantastic. I still wonder about Cold Cuts. The fact that Paul is such a prominent vegetarian and animal rights and all that, and the thought of him now putting out an album that basically refers to a name for cold meats just seems a bit weird to me. So I wonder, I just have this feeling that the Cold Cuts, we might get the songs, but the actual title of it as an album would seem a bit odd for Paul McCartney to use these days. But I don't know. Astroja says, Mark Lewison has been very quiet lately and was not at the Chicago Beatles Fest. Hopefully he's very quiet because he's putting the finishing touches to things, but who knows? Let's hopefully Mark is getting there. Tommy says, Andrew, are you a Badfinger fan? I don't, to be honest, apart from the obvious, Come and Get It, and the fact that they wrote Without You, I don't really know that much about them. I don't have so much as a greatest hit, so I don't have any albums of theirs, so I've never really listened to them much, to be honest. Maybe I should. Dean says, do you think because we're entering into a second year of No Rubber Soul Deluxe that they need more time to work on the remix and potentially gather bonus materials? If I'm going to be bluntly honest, I think that they just don't know what they're doing sometimes. I think Red and Blue last year was a mistake. It just made little sense. The way that they did it, it was an afterthought. It certainly wasn't their original plan to put out Red and Blue last year. Giles Martin's admitted as much. You know, they got Now and Then and they thought, oh, what are we going to do with this? It's the 50th anniversary of Red and Blue albums. Let's reissue them and stick it on there. I've got quite a negative attitude towards the Red and Blue albums lately, as in the re-release of them last year. I think there was just a lot better things they could have done. But anyway, back to your point. I don't know that the remix, I don't think... I mean, we got quite a few Rubber Soul songs on the Red album last year. I don't think the remix itself would be a problem. I think they got caught out last year because they didn't know what the heck to do with Now and Then. So they got forced in. They forced themselves into Red and Blue, which was silly. I think now they've probably realised, oh, hang on, it's the 60th anniversary of 1964. Let's do something for that. I just get the impression with the Beatles camp that the grand plan is a bit all over the place. You know, it's a bit of a back of a fag packet job. I just think it could be so much better run. But yeah, that's my thoughts on that. I expect we'll see it next year, but who knows? Maybe they'll think of something else that they realise that oh God, we can't do Rubber Soul next year because we've forgotten that we needed to do this instead. I don't know. They're a bit all over the place, I think. Gear says, seems like they focus on the 30 dates in 30 days theme on social media. Yeah, I just can't imagine that they're going to restrict it to a social media campaign. I'm sure there must be more to it than that. I think we're going to get some announcement maybe at the end of it. Maybe if they are doing, I don't know much about this 30 days theme. I've not taken too much notice of it, to be honest, because I'm thinking there's got to be something more interesting in it than a load of Facebook and Twitter posts. So I haven't focused that much, but I'm wondering whether maybe is this a 30-day build-up and then there's going to be some announcement of something that's going to be fantastic. I really hope so. We'll see. What have we got? What else have we got? I like this. I'm actually getting well involved in the chat this time, which like I said earlier, when I do things like the World Cups, there might be 10 minutes of chat that I've just not had a chance to look at all. So I'm enjoying seeing everything that's coming up on the chat pretty much. Keep it coming, please. What we've got? What else have we got? I'm going to go down towards the end of the chat. So if I have missed your comment, please feel free to add it again, and I will come to it. Blue Rhythm Boy says, what's happening with the 4 Beatles biopics? Again, it's gone quiet, but presumably that's just because they're now just getting on with it. I can't even remember if they've cast the actors, have they, who are going to play them? I don't think they've said what form the movies will take. Is it going to focus on the same period, looking at it from 4 different angles? I assume they would have to stay away from the contentious end of the Beatles. I presume they'd have to stay towards the front end of the 60s rather than the back end, because, you know, sure, I would imagine Ringo's going to approve the Ringo movie, Paul's going to approve the Paul movie, Sean's going to approve the John movie, etc. There might be a bit of, well, I don't think we broke up for that reason. So I'm sure they'll focus on earlier stuff, but it'll be interesting to see. Monk says, still think they could have revamped the anthology series, and Jay Davies above mentions anthology as well, and re-released Anthology 3 with Now and Then on it. Yeah, I mean, at the start of last year, the big rumour was that Anthology relaunch was going to be coming. Now, I still hope that's happening. My understanding is, I think it was filmed on tape rather than proper film, like cinema-style film. So all the 90s interviews, I don't think can be made to look amazing super HD quality, but I'm sure they can be made to look better than they do at the moment. All the titles and all the graphics need sorting out, because I watched the anthology a few months ago. I watched an episode of it, and all the on-screen graphics look awful now. You know, it's pre-Windows 95 graphics, and they weren't designed to be blown up to sort of 60, 70-inch TVs. So they look really bad. So they would have to take all the titles off and redo them. So I think it will happen. Maybe it'll go on to streaming. I think it would be great if all the Beatles movies could get onto streaming. So obviously Let It Be's there now, Get Back's there. If they could get, if there could be a collection where you've got Hard Day's Night, Help, Your Submarine, Magical Mystery Tour, Anthology, just get everything there available on streaming. That would be great, I think. And the other thing with Anthology as well, this is an interesting point that I heard raised when Get Back came out. Get Back, the film, the Peter Jackson film, will be sort of a bit timeless, because it's never going to be rooted to the end of, was it 2021, was it, when it came out? It's never going to be rooted in time to that, because everything you see on screen is from 1969. Anthology is rooted in the mid-90s, and it now looks quite dated because of all the sort of 90s interviews and everything that they did. It's styled in a 1990s way. Get Back doesn't have that problem. So I think they've got an interesting maybe question to ask themselves about Anthology. How do they stop it looking like a dated mid-90s documentary? I think, and I don't know how they do that. Maybe do they mix in more interview footage from more recent than the 90s, more stuff that was from the 70s, although, to be honest, a lot of, for example, finding footage of Paul in the 70s talking about the Beatles is very rare. So it's interesting how they will do it. Anyway, back to the chat. I'm going to go down to near the bottom again. So again, like I say, if I missed it, please ask again. What have we got? Ben Williams says, of all the Beatles related stuff that could come out, you would love to see, right? What have you put? Vinyl reissues of Off the Ground, yes. Driving Rain, yes. Memory Almost Full and Run Devil Run. Hope MPL does this soon. Yeah, absolutely. They feel like things that are less likely to get an archive collection, if that is indeed still a thing. But you'd have thought when he was doing that vinyl reissue campaign sort of 5-6 years ago, you thought, oh yeah, they're all going to be coming, and that's just stopped. So yeah, I would really love to have all that stuff, definitely. There's a lot of Paul McCartney fans have got money would be willing to pay for these things. But yeah, we'll see. Dan Corn says there's at least 10 hours of Magical Mystery Tour footage. I think there's a lot more than that. It would be prime for a Peter Jackson re-edit upscale. Fantastic. Bring it on. I'll buy that. Definitely. I'm having that. 4K Michelin star movies says I had a massive bucket list moment on Sunday. You recorded in Abbey Road Studios, Studio 1. Wow, where they did the live broadcast for All You Need Is Love. Spent time in Studio 2 and went up the staircase. Fantastic. Brilliant. Paula says you think they should do an Anthology 4. Hello, Paula. How are you doing? Yeah, let's have more Anthology. If they're going to release it, yeah, can we have another few hours of it? Absolutely brilliant. Hi, Claire. How are you doing? If there's an announcement of what could be released, would it be at the end of this month or sometime in September? I think it's usually 6 weeks before release dates. Not sure. Yeah, now, so this is something that they went against the grain last year. So traditionally, and when I say traditionally, I mean over the past sort of 5-6 years, the Beatles and the members of all seem to have followed a similar plan of announcement to release day being about 50 days. So you could expect maybe an announcement on a Wednesday or a Thursday, and it would be like 7 weeks and however many days to take it to Friday for the release. That was different last year, and there's been a couple of things that have been different recently where it's been much shorter. So whether there's been a change in the industry where they don't need to give 50 days notice, whether they think 50 days is too long, and actually people have got bored by the time 50 days comes around and they want a shorter, snappier release announcement period because maybe they think with social media they can get the message out there a lot quicker. I don't know, this is me speculating here. But it'd be interesting to see whether they go back to 50 days or not. And if they don't, then maybe they think that 50 days is enough. That's old hat now. We can do it in a shorter time period. Hi, David. How are you doing? You're in Liverpool on Sunday, seeing Frida at Rogues Museum. Yeah, I really wish if I'd have known before yesterday that I was going to be in Liverpool on Sunday, I would have really tried to get a ticket for that. But if you're in the city centre, if you see me on Sunday, come and say hello. R. Jackson says the calendar used to show the passing days in Get Back might look awful in a few decades. Sorry. Yeah, maybe, but I think the fact that we're now on sort of HD quality that can be blown up to ridiculous sizes, I think it'll stand the test of time probably better than early to mid-90s graphics. But yeah, you might be right there. Tastes change, don't they? But I also think as well now, the fact that things are on streaming, if they decided they wanted to update that in a few years' time, they'll quietly slip it out there. I'm pretty sure. I'm going to ask a question now, and I want to see if anybody also remembers this, because I'm pretty sure that when Get Back came out, that they altered it a few days later. What you have on streaming now, I don't think is what was on the very first day. You know the bit at the start, that sort of 8 or 9 minute sort of potted history of the band, which I really like. I like that way, and then it sort of goes up to late '68, and you see get into a bit more detail, and then bang, January '69, here we are. I'm pretty sure they changed that because there was something at the start was really confusing about the way what they showed about when Ringo joined the band. The on-screen stuff didn't match the timeline that they were showing, and I'm pretty sure that they fixed that a few days later so that it actually matched up. So when things are on streaming, if they want to update it, they can do that without telling anybody. In some ways, that's a bit scary, and it's a bit like whitewashing history. But in other ways, it does give them a bit more scope to maybe tweak things that aren't so good. Brooks, hi there. Where do you see the Bob Dylan bootleg series going from here? I mean, that's been quiet lately, hasn't it? I mean, it's been a good year or so now, I think, since we've heard anything on that. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a very early 60s sort of New York coffee shop type of release. I've got some bootlegs of that era, and I'd be surprised if I would expect there's a lot of material to do that. other than that, for the 60s, I think they've probably exhausted the 60s now. And I think I'd like to see some sort of never-ending tour release that's going to cover more recent years. Because I think the 70s is pretty well covered. 80s is fairly well covered now. So I think it's probably from maybe the 2000s might be the thing. Incredible to think that that series is now like 34 years old. That's been going. It's crazy. Enthusiasts of British motor vehicles, hello. I admit my interest in Paul's stuff has been waning of late, but the brilliant job Sean did with Mind Games has me very excited for Walls and Bridges and Double Fantasy. Yeah, I think Mind Games was great. I've never seen a release like that. It was superb. I must admit, from a personal point of view, you might have noticed I haven't done too many videos lately, and part of the reason for that is I got burnt out, me personally, complete burnout after Mind Games, because I put so much into that, and I totted up in total for all the videos that I did and all the research that I had to do for it, and the notes and the editing and the dealing with everybody's comments, which was brilliant. I totted up that I spent about 100 hours on Mind Games videos, and when you're working full time and you've got a family, I can't do that. I can't do that anymore. So I had a bit of burnout there as a result of Mind Games, but to be honest, that's partly because it was so flipping good. If it hadn't been such a good release, I wouldn't have bothered with it. But I think the way that they're doing it is really good. And what I don't understand is that Paul's got his way of doing things, Sean's got his way, George's camp, they've got some weird way, and Ringo just lets everybody else get on with it. But what they do for the Beatles doesn't seem to draw from any of those four influences. It seems to be completely its own thing. And I think the Beatles releases could learn a lot from what the solo members do. But that doesn't seem to work like that for whatever reason. Hi Tim, will you be getting the Mind Games meditation mixers? I certainly will be. I don't know that I need to buy them on vinyl, but I will certainly. I know that I can get them as a download from Qobuz for something like, I don't think it's any more than about £15. So I'll definitely be doing that, because I think they are very interesting, and I'm quite glad that they're doing this release. It's one of those where it's there for people who want it. It's not getting in the way of other things. I think sometimes with some of the Paul McCartney releases that have annoyed me a bit over the last couple of years, you got the feeling that, why is this happening? It's getting in the way of other things that we're waiting for. I don't get that impression with the John Lennon stuff. I think we're gonna get what we want with the John Lennon stuff, and these are other sort of nice things that are happening as well. And I know, for example, I've got one particular friend. I don't know if he's watching. He will know who I'm talking about if he is listening. I've got a particular friend who told me that he couldn't listen to those meditation mixers. They're only available at the moment through that Luminate app, because he can't. The strobe effect that comes with the Luminate app, he can't do that. He has to stay away from that. So there's some people who just haven't been able to listen to those yet. So it's good that they will be coming for people who want them. Bangladesh 4K, says Gear. Shea Stadium. Yeah, well, Bangladesh, it's... So hopefully a lot of you know now that Bangladesh Warning appeared on streaming a couple of weeks ago, I think it was. Sounding really good. You can also buy it as a download, which they didn't advertise so much, but that is a fact. Again, you can buy the download. And from what I've seen, the footage that I've seen looks, to me, I think, better than what I've got on my DVD from 2005, was it? So hopefully that's the precursor to a big release. But again, we will see. We will see. So I'm just going to have a look at the chat again. Just one second. Jonathan, you can't afford Super Deluxe sets, but you made your own Mind Games Deluxe set by sliding the uncut freebie into the 2 CD version. Yeah, fantastic. Now, that uncut CD was far more generous than it ought to have been. I'll tell you what, I'm going to come back to this in a second. I'm just going to address something because we've got somebody being a bit of an idiot. Beetle Dave here. Now, I watched a video by Beetle Dave yesterday, and I know full well that the person who's commenting as Beetle Dave is not Beetle Dave. So you are not going to be commenting again. See you later. There you go, Martin. Got rid of him. I can see whether that's the genuine Beetle Dave or not, and I know that that isn't. So there's a little warning to. There's a few people. Well, I would say there's probably one person who's causing a lot of mischief at the moment. Don't think we don't know who you are, and don't think that we can't do something about it. Is what I will say to you. Yes, Beetle Dave, Joe Mayo. They've both been having trouble with this. But we'll get you. Don't you worry. We'll get you. Danny 900, a bit of a cash grab for £85, 3 LPs. I assume you're talking there about the meditation mixers. Again, I often say this. I'm not a fan of the term cash grab because nobody's grabbing anybody's cash. If you don't want to spend it, nobody's got your cash, and it is available to buy for, like I said, less than £15 as a download. It'll be on streaming for free. So it's if anybody wants to pay that money, they can do, but nobody has to. Hey Anthony, how you doing? If there was one album post 2000 in McCartney catalogue, which takes the title of modern masterpiece, or do none quite reach those heights? Chaos and Creation has to be in the conversation, doesn't it? It has to be a contender. I'm probably in the minority here with my picks. Yes, I would have Chaos and Creation in the conversation. I would have 2 other albums in the conversation. I absolutely love Memory Almost Full, apart from Gratitude, which I think is one of the worst songs Paul McCartney's ever released. But other than Gratitude, and of course I know the mastering of the album is horrible, it's way too loud, but I think Memory Almost Full is a fantastic album. I didn't think he would ever do a better album than that, and then he did, in my opinion, with Egypt Station. So those are the ones for me. Andrew Galvin, hi, how you doing, Andrew? Did I get the Bowie Ziggy box set? You're getting it for your birthday, fantastic. No, I haven't bought any of the Bowie box sets. They're things that I have dabbled with them on streaming, but I have they're not something that they don't mean enough to me to warrant big outlays. The sort of money that I would pay for a Beatles box set or a McCartney box set or a Lennon box set, I would reserve my money for those. I'm happy with the main albums with Bowie mainly. Paula says it well. The only trolls we like are the ones on the cover of All Things Must Pass. Yes, exactly. Hi Deborah Gatti, will there be another Beatles Super Deluxe Edition release this year, do you think? We did have a chat about that earlier, but for probably yourself and maybe other people who weren't around earlier, all of the chat seems to be that there won't be, like for example, a Rubber Soul this year. Now, will it be that will we get a first US visit box set? Maybe. I'm hopeful on that one, but we will see. But I don't think, if you're waiting, for example, for Rubber Soul, it sounds like that's not going to happen. We'll see. Danny, I love you too. We'll see you later. Isaac says, have I ever met Sean or Yoko? I have met Sean. He won't remember. And I did it weirdly a couple of days ago. I found a postcard that he signed for me when I met him. So the backstory for that is 2007 would it have been, or 2006? Can't remember the exact year. When his Friendly Fire album came out, went to see him in Liverpool. I think it was the first gig he'd ever done in Liverpool, and it was in a university building. And I met him afterwards. Went round the back afterwards, and I was having a chat with him, and I had a nice little chat with Sean. And I remember saying to him, "How come it's been so long in you making this album?" Because his first album had come out sort of maybe nearly 10 years earlier. And I remember him saying to me that he made that first album in the late 90s, Into the Sun, was it? And he said he just didn't really feel ready to properly be a full-time musician, and it had taken him quite a few years to get to the point where it was actually able to do it again. So yeah, I did meet him then. No, never met Yoko. I mean, Yoko's probably not an easy person to get to meet, is she? Certainly not nowadays, anyway. So yeah, met Sean once, and that was good. Hey Mazzy, how you doing? You're in London right now. You've been to the Yoko show at the Tate Modern. Fantastic. I don't think I'm going to get a chance to go there. Unfortunately, I do have a visit to London planned probably in November, but it's a work trip. I'm probably not going to get a chance to do anything like that. But yeah, good to see that you're enjoying your trip, Mazzy. You must have only just got here then, have you? Because I know you were still at home pretty recently. Isaac says, "Was he nice?" You must be talking about Sean there. Yeah, we had a real nice chat. It was good. I mean, I'm sure he won't remember it. I remember it. James Boyce says, "You know that Paul Weller loves Memory Almost Full, and for you it's fantastic. Just needs a remaster to make it more listenable." Yeah, I've got like a fan made remaster. Somebody did their own sort of homemade remaster of it a few years back, and really sort of dialed it down a bit. And it does sound different. It's got a lot more space to breathe. The weird thing is, I wouldn't necessarily say it sounds better, but I think this is why I'd really like a vinyl version of it, because they'd probably have to dial it down on vinyl a bit, otherwise your needle would be just jumping all over the place. Paulie, you got to meet Sean too. Excellent. I did see Sean in concert a second time a few years ago in Leeds when he was with Ghost of a Saber-Toothed Tiger. I didn't get to meet him that night, but I was literally stood 6 foot away from him. We were right at the front, and it's like a really compact venue. And I remember watching him on guitar that night and thinking, you are way beyond what your dad ever was as a guitarist. Way beyond. I don't think he gets the credit for how good a guitarist he is. He was really good. James says, "Why So Blue" should have been on Memory Almost Full instead of Gratitude. Yeah, Gratitude, I really, really, really detest that song. Cone says, I hope I've pronounced your name right there. I apologise if I haven't heard anything about the new McCartney album supposedly being recorded. Yeah, I mean, news has been coming through about that so often lately. So we know he's been working with Andrew Watt, who produced the last Stones album. He's been working with him on and off for at least a couple of years now. It's also known that Paul spent a week at Abbey Road Studios about a month ago. I think, June, July, I think it was. He spent a week there. Now, bearing in mind, he does his recording at home. So was it final touches? Was it orchestration for the album? It might have been something else completely. He might have been approving mixes for an archive collection. It could have been something else, but he did spend a week at Abbey Road Studios just recently. So hopefully we're not far away. We've got to be at the stage now where, being realistic, and Paul will be obviously aware of this, any album he makes now could be his last. I can't see him wanting to put an album out unless it's a fitting swan song. I remember doing a video about Egypt Station, one of the very first videos that I did years ago, where at the time I thought that was going to be his last album. And the only reason I thought that was, if you listen to it with a thought of it being his last album, there are just clues littered throughout that album of this is it, is finished, done, gone. And of course I'm glad that didn't happen to be the case, but he's got to have it in his mind surely that, if it is my last album, I want it to be a good one. Goldilocks says, how do you think Magical Mystery Tour and Yellow Submarine would get the deluxe treatment? Mystery Tour based on the LP or EP version, Yellow Submarine as the unreleased EP version. 2 sets or one combined? This is the big question, isn't it? There's I've got my Beatles anniversary sets down here, and as beautiful as it looks, Revolver, Sgt. Pepper, White Album. Hang on a minute, there's a great big gap there between Sgt. Pepper and the White Album. When's it going to get filled with something from Magical Mystery Tour? I'm not as urgent person. I don't have the urgency that I did have for the Magical Mystery Tour set, purely because I've got that set from about 10 years ago that's got the Blu-ray and everything, and all the loads of incidental music that I've been able to get lossless from the Blu-ray. So things like Shirley's Wild Accordion and various other bits. I've got great copies of now. But yeah, it needs to. How will they do it? And I don't know the obvious answer. Surely they're going to do it. I suspect they will do. Will they find some way of doing a one set that covers both, like maybe a Beatles psychedelic movie set or something like that, that just covers that period from when Sgt. Pepper finished up to the White Album. Remains to be seen. It's a great question that we don't know the answer to, but I really hope it happens. So what else have we got? Let's have a look. Sean's cover of HTE. Here, There and Everywhere. Was that right? I don't know that I've heard that. I'll have to have a look for that. What else have we got? You think the thing is, Paul is a workaholic, says Andrew. That's right. You reckon he'll keep recording and playing live until the day drops? You think he'd be bored if he retired? Yeah, I think he's certainly. Seems to be enjoying his time out a lot more now, which is fantastic. If anybody has earned the right to just kick back and just take it easy, it's Paul McCartney. But even when he kicks back, he's got, he's already had 2 albums out this year of archive stuff. He's got a potential studio album coming. He's got all sorts of fingers in all sorts of pies. His work ethic is incredible. It really is. Would he announce? Do you think that he would announce, this is my last tour, this is my last gig? I wonder. I don't know. I mean, I would love it to be Liverpool. My God, the tickets for that. Can you imagine if he announced final show Liverpool? You just have to sell anything to get a ticket for that, wouldn't you? Mike says, do you think they can ever convince Ringo to do a box set for the 73 album? It doesn't look like it, does it? I don't understand it. I don't understand Ringo's. I mean, Ringo must have seen all the checks that come in, all that money that goes into his bank account from the Beatles box sets. And of course, a Ringo box set is never going to earn as much money, nowhere near. But Ringo's only getting a quarter of the Beatles stuff, and less when you factor in the fact that he's not getting the songwriting royalties as well. So, but Ringo, he doesn't have to share that with others as much. So I don't understand why he's so reluctant to do it. It's crazy. There's some good questions coming through, and they keep disappearing off my screen. So I want to just go back and have a look. David says, anything going on with concert for Bangladesh? We did talk about that about 10 minutes ago, David. So maybe if you want to skip back at some point and have a look at that. Brad says, do you think they will ever reissue the mono box? I think it would be weird at the moment if they did it, purely because they've spent the last 7 years brand new remix. Look, listen to our shiny new remix. And if during the middle of that campaign they say, here's a mono box of all the original remasters, it just seems to me to fly in the face of, they're on a campaign, and that would seem to just be a bit alien to it. So I'd be surprised if they did it at the moment. I imagine they'll do something at some time. I don't think it will ever be quite the same as the first mono box. There'll be something about it that isn't quite as good, I think. Because that box it's almost beyond... I've never heard anybody criticise anything about it. It's a perfect box set. And I just think that if they do it again, they'll do something that isn't quite as good on it. I don't know. David says, where are you going to watch One Hand Clapping? I'm going to Scarborough, David. I think that's the nearest we can get. I know you're York area, aren't you? I don't know whether it's... I know it's in Sheffield, it's in Leeds. But for me, on this occasion, Scarborough was easier to get to, even though it's further away than normal. John says, great backdrop, Andrew. Thank you. Thank you very much. Your collection is growing by the day. I haven't actually bought much lately at all. What about a deluxe box set Hamburg years? Whatever material is available in a beautiful glossy book would be amazing. I'll mention, well, I did talk about this, but right at the start. So there's probably quite a few people here who weren't here at the start. So I'll go through it quickly. Peter Jackson owns the tapes, the Star Club tapes for Hamburg, the physical tapes. He bought those. He's trying to use his Mal technology to clean them up and make them sound as good as he possibly can do. If he gets them to a quality that he thinks is good enough, he's going to present those to Apple. We know this because he's told us it all in interviews. He's going to present it to Apple and say, look what I've been able to do with your Hamburg tapes. Have you got any interest in releasing it? And they might say, no, we've got no interest whatsoever. Or they might decide to do something with it. So it's, something will happen. Whether we'll ever get to find out about it is another matter. But we'll see. What else have we got? What else have we got? Oh yes, we've got another fake Joe Mayo account. Yeah. See you later. Bye. I know full well that one's a fake as well. But don't worry, we're on to you. We're on to you. Oh look, we've got another one as well. Don't worry, I'm logging all these. I've got you. Because YouTube can track these people. I say these people, it's probably actually one person. How about a box set with all the McCartney 12-inch remixes? I would be interested in that if it's the only way that we're going to get them. Because especially around the mid-80s, it was the number of remixes, as you'll know, is absolutely crazy. So it may well be that a lot of those remixes are never going to see the light of day again unless we get something like that. I did like some of the stuff that we were getting. There was some of the Now series, for example. Now that's what I call 80s 12-inch remixed and stuff like that, where they were doing things like versions of Once Upon a Long Ago that had never been on CD before and things like that, or like the long version of Good Night Tonight. So it's been good collecting those over the last few years, but it does make you worry that, is that the only way that we're ever going to get those things? Crazy for Beatles, you've got to give Yoko a tissue. You were seated behind her and Kyoko's husband at the Grammy event. Fantastic. That's good. Gregory, you're going to see the Lemon Twigs in Leeds in a few weeks. 11th of September, Brood & L Club. I will be there. You're looking forward to it. Come and say hello if you see me. They are, to my mind, they are the best band in the world at the moment. I absolutely love them. Is a Blue Rhythm Boy says, is a box set of the second album with the Beatles viable? Would there be enough material? I mean, yeah, based on... Don't get me wrong here. Obviously, I know From Me to You isn't on with the Beatles. I'm not saying it was. But based on the fact that I got a bootleg CD that had 20 takes of From Me to You on it, you would think that there's all sorts of stuff like that for lots of other songs from that kind of era. So I'm sure there's enough. They could maybe even put some live version in, live stuff in. Maybe would they do a 1963 box set that covers all of 63 if they don't want to do individual albums? I don't know, but I'd be surprised if they miss any of the main studio albums out. What else have we got? Oh, you're going to Harrogate, David. Fair enough. Okay, I won't see you there then. Crazy for Beatles, hoping McCartney 4 ends up being his last album. Yeah, so that would be what, 2030? He can't release it if it doesn't end in a 0. We will see. Yeah, Gregory, come and say hello if you see me. I will be there. I'm going there with my daughter for that. Really looking forward to it. That'll be the 3rd time I've seen the Lemon Twigs live. So yeah, really looking forward to that. A nice remaster of All the Best would be a nice surprise today. Add Water Spout as a bonus. I mean, again, if it's the only way we're going to get Water Spout out there, then let's have it. But which version would it be? Would it be the US version, the UK version? I love All the Best because that was my introduction to Paul McCartney as a solo artist. I didn't really. I'm trying to think. When I bought it because I really liked Once Upon a Long Ago, and I'd liked Pipes of Peace a few years earlier, and I honestly don't think I knew any other song that was on All the Best when I bought it, and so that was my introduction to Paul McCartney. Really, was All the Best. Absolutely love it. Chrome Destiny says, good call. I think they should do box sets, one for 63 to 65, 2 albums covered per box. Oh, so you mean do a 63 box, a 64 box, and a 65 box? Maybe. This would give Rubber Soul a super deluxe, same as all the existing ones. Yeah, well, we'll see what happens, I'm sure, over the next few years. Yeah. How are we doing for time? We've been on an hour. Has it been an hour already? Blimey. Good grief. Keep those questions, comments coming in. We will, as long as they're rolling in, I'll stick around. David Chastity says, am I alone in loving the George Martin Yellow Submarine Suite? I wonder if there's any more of it. Good question. I actually only found out a couple of days ago. I read something. I didn't realise that the version that's on the album, I'm sure I read something saying the version that's on the album is different to what's in the film. It was sort of re-recorded for the album. I didn't know about this. Have I got this right? Can anybody confirm this? So let's have both versions. Yeah, if there's anything more, let's have it. Oh, hi Chris. Sure, how are you doing? Hope life post Egg Pod is treating you well. Pink Floyd's box set early years, later years released tons of music that fans had been begging for in one package. Apple want to maintain the legacy, so it will be in dribs and drabs. Yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah, Crazy for Beatles is selling a kidney to go and see Paul McCartney. There might be a few people doing that. Beatles live stuff is a must, says Chrome Destiny. Yeah, Star Club's maltreatment. I hope they do Stowe School. They don't seem to have shown any interest in that so far. I keep meaning to go to. There's like a branch of the British Library up north, not too far from where I am, and I could book and go and listen to the Stowe School tape, and maybe I should do. Yeah. Blue Rhythm Boy says, do I play any instruments? I've got my guitars. I've got my guitars up on the wall there. So yeah, I've been in bands, a guitarist in a band for on and off for like 27 years. I haven't been in a band since COVID. We stopped in COVID, and then when the band was ready to start up again afterwards, I wasn't ready, and I said, you guys want to keep going, I'm not ready, you're gonna have to go without me. And so they did. That was a band I formed actually as well, and they're still going strong. They headlined a festival just last week. They're doing well. Graham Howlett says, what would be your top recommendations if visiting Liverpool for the first time? Interesting, because I sort of mentioned that earlier. I did mention earlier that if somebody asked me that question, I would definitely put Casbah in the top 2. So the top 2 for me would definitely be the National Trust John and Paul Childhood Homes Tour. It's just a must. It's incredible to go into those two houses and the way that they're preserved as they were. All the stuff that happened in those houses. That's number one. I would put Casbah at number two. Get on a tour with Rogue Best. Fantastic. And then it's going to be things like the Strawberry Field Visitors Museum. I would definitely recommend that. It's just round the corner from John's house. No surprise there. It's where you'd expect it to be. That's really good. I would definitely go and see that. And then of course you've got to do the Cavern and Matthew Street. It's a bit obvious. It's a bit touristy. It's Disney Beatles, but you've got to do it, I suppose. I like going to some of the pubs that have got Beatles history that have not changed much in 50, 60 years. So going to Ye Crack, where John and Cynthia had the first date, I believe. There's some photos up in there. Sean visited recently, and there's some photos of Sean being in there. And there's the pub that I can never remember the name of, that's just off Whitechapel near where Nems was, and it's the pub where, not long after Brian Epstein started managing the Beatles, there's a tale of Paul McCartney was testing Brian's authority, and Paul didn't show up for a gig at one point, and George phoned Paul from this particular pub that's on Whitechapel to say, like, Brian's fuming. When are you coming? Paul's dad answered the phone. Paul's dad said to, they're asking when you're coming. Paul's in the bath, and Paul said, tell him I'm not coming. This is all in the Mark Lewison Tune In volume, and I just cannot remember the name of the pub. If there's anybody from Liverpool around, you might be able to tell me which pub I'm talking about. Tyrone, you did the John and Paul house tours, brilliant, and the Casbah tour. You've done what I think are the top two things. It could be Grapes. The Philharmonic pub as well is really good. I like that. That's the one that you'll remember if you watched the. I can hardly bring myself to mention the guy's name. When Paul did that carpool karaoke with Corden, can't stand that guy. And you remember they did the gig. It was like the launch for Egypt Station. I'll tell you the date of that. It was the 9th of June 2018. They did that in Liverpool, and they did the gig at the Philharmonic afterwards. It's a beautiful pub. That's well worth a visit. And you'd be in that room where they did that particular gig. I think the Grapes and White Star are the pubs that people are mentioning. I think it's one of those. Yeah, it could be the Grapes, where Paul sent a message via his dad through the phone to say, I'm not coming. He was testing Brian's authority. Goldilocks says, have you listened to every disc in that live 1966 Dylan box behind you? It's taken you more than a few years. No. I think I might have listened to 2 discs in that. There's too much, and that's why I am going nowhere near that 74 box you mentioned. It's too much. I can't do it. Blue Rhythm Boy, the Magical Mystery Bus Tour is a good introduction. Yeah, definitely. The other thing as well that I would definitely say to do is the Beatles Magical History Museum, or whatever it's called, on Matthew Street that Rogue Best runs. Definitely do that. That's really good. It's better than the Beatles Story Museum, I would say, which is too much. The Beatles Story Museum, I think, is a bit too. It's sort of for the casual fan who wants to know a bit about the Beatles but isn't really a Beatles fan. You go to the Rogues Museum on Matthew Street, and that's like for proper Beatles fans. So that's the one I would say go to. James, you're at the Philharmonic a week after Paul's appearance. Definitely frustrating. Oh, Mr. Writer, yes. Now, so I've been in the Philharmonic once last year, or was it the year before? And I heard how legendary the toilets were. My auntie even sort of went briefly, and my uncle checked that the coast was clear, and she went in to have a look just to see how amazing the toilets were. And I completely forgot to go into the toilets there because Yeah, I just forgot. And I thought, flipping heck, I've heard how great these toilets are, and I never saw them. Chrome Destiny, you blocked the Corden video where he inserted himself into Get Back. Oh, that's awful. I cannot stand that bloke. I really can't. He's an awful human being. David Chastity, Holly Johnson from Holly Johnson from Frankie Goes to Hollywood's brother runs one of the Beatles coach tours. He's very good. Runs from Albert Dock. So I went on one of the Beatles tours. It'll be 2 years ago next month, and we had this guy who did the tour, and he was really good. And then I mentioned on a video, like the day after, we've been on this tour, and somebody said, "Oh, Holly Johnson's brother does that." And I thought, flipping heck, I bet that's him, because he was the right kind of age. I could see a bit of a similarity. I thought that must have been Holly Johnson's brother. So I did loads of Googling to try and prove that it was. And then I found a picture of Holly Johnson's brother, and it was somebody completely different. So we didn't get shown round by him, unfortunately. Andrew Galvin, you saw a brilliant Japanese tribute band play Abbey Road from start to finish in the Philharmonic pub. It was a blast. Now, were they called the Beatles? Can you remember? I remember seeing a Japanese Beatles tribute band called the Beatles in the Cavern pub. Not the Cavern Club, but the Cavern pub across the road. And at first glance, because they're all just like these really short Japanese guys, with very heavy Japanese accents, treated him like a bit of a joke at first. I'm not going to do the impression that I used to do. And then they launched into While My Guitar Gently Weeps. And it was like, wow, these guys are actually really good. So I wonder if it was the Beatles. Winston, am I going to see one on Clapping? It has been asked before, but don't worry, it was a long time ago. Yes, I'm going to Scarborough on the 26th of September to see One Hand Clapping. Very much looking forward to it. Andreas says, when you do visit Germany one day, Beatles Museum in Halle, is an amazing museum. Yeah, is that in Hamburg or near Hamburg? I would love to go to Hamburg. I've never been quite sure what there is to do, what's still there. But it's something that certainly I think I should do at some point. Andrew says, oh, you'd love to do the Matthew Street Museum, but it isn't accessible for wheelchairs. That's a shame. That is a shame. I hope that changes. I hope that there's something that they can do about that at some point. Lock A, would there be any interest for Paul's music for Rupert? A release could have the 70s demo recordings, the 2 singles, maybe the soundtrack of the short film. I would love that. And if you think in the past few years of things that we've had, like the re-release of Thrillington, and some of the stuff that we're getting, like underdubbed One Hand Clapping, it makes me think that the Rupert album is maybe not too unrealistic. I don't know if it would get its own standalone release, or would it have to be packaged as part of something else? I don't know. I'd certainly be very interested in it, definitely. There's a pub Nick says there's a pub in Wallasey called the Egremont Ferry, is that? Paul used to go there regularly. He was filmed there with Wings and his dad and stepmom in the early 70s. Would that be for the James Paul McCartney TV special? Because they had that whole section that was in a Liverpool pub. Is that the one? I wonder if that's the one you mean, because I imagine there wasn't too many times he was filmed in a Liverpool pub in the early 70s. Elijah says, was Noel good? You saw him early in the year and he was amazing. Yeah, I went to see Noel Gallagher at Halifax Peace Hall. What would it be? About three weeks ago, maybe? Yeah. In fact, it was 3 weeks ago tonight. Yeah, really good gig. I've seen Noel so many times now with High Flying Birds and with Oasis, and you always know what you're going to get with Noel. He's going to put on a very polished presentation of a show. He's going to have a go at you if you're from Yorkshire, especially the fact that it was 1st of August and it was Yorkshire Day, so he had a right go at us all for that, which was quite funny. And I was watching him and thinking, why is he not headlining Glastonbury? The songs that he's got, I don't think there's anybody else in the world who's got songs from the past 30 years to match what he's got. Not having it. Not having it. If there's anybody better, I don't think there is. Tyrone, you saw the Ruttles at the Philharmonic some years ago. Excellent. I saw them in York, and I saw them somewhere else as well. Can't remember. I think I saw them in Leeds, and I saw Neil Innes do it solo gigs a couple of times as well. So yeah, fantastic. I remember one of my favourite things with the Ruttles gig was this thing. He must have done it at every show that John Halsey did. Barry Wom on drums. So they're doing a song. I can't remember what song it was that they're doing. And there was like he was doing a bit of a drum solo, and it's all staged. It was all an act, but it was really funny. So he's doing this bit of a drum solo, and his phone rings. So he's like, oh, and his phone rings, and so he answers the phone and immediately presses a button on a drum machine to carry on doing the drum solo for him. And it's like, hello, and I think it was like pretending it was his missus or something. Yep, yeah, the stopcock's under the sink in the kitchen. You turn the water off, and then he's having this domestic conversation with his missus, and he hangs up. He gets his drum kit and he stopped the drum machine and immediately came in at the right place to carry on this drum solo. Very funny. Very funny. David says there is a new John Lennon statue near Penny Lane Bus Island. You haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen that either. Didn't know. Did I know about that? I don't know if I did know about that. Oh, look, got some loser pretending to be me there. We'll get rid of them. I've got your channel ID though. It's all going to YouTube. Don't you worry. Which would Claire says? Which would you say is the best Beatles tribute band to go and see? Bootleg Beatles or the Mersey Beatles? Well, I can't comment on the Mersey Beatles because I don't think I've seen them. But you're never going to go wrong with the Bootleg Beatles. Never. I know that in some other countries you will get people saying the analogues, who don't try and look like the Beatles in any way. They don't dress up in costume or anything like that. But the sound, fantastic. There's what's that one? Is it the Fab Four? But like FAOX. It's supposed to be really good. You can't go wrong with the Bootleg Beatles as far as I'm concerned. Stephen says, Michael Lund Sorensen, hopefully Andrew Galvin has seen your message there about the elevator at Matthew Street Museum. Thank you for that, Michael. Stephen says, hi Andrew, do you know why they stopped making Blu-ray 5.1 surround sound in the Beatles box sets? No, I don't know why. And it's annoyed so many people. I know I've read so many comments from different people who said, I'm not buying the Revolver box. I'm not buying the Let It Be box because it ain't got the DVD. And I don't understand their thinking of why they've stopped doing it. I don't know. Anyway. Oh, hi, Dinner with Greedo. What's your favourite Ruttles song? I would probably have to go with Cheese and Onion. Or Ouch. Cheese and Onion. I'm going Cheese and Onion. Yeah. Winston says, do you think that the remixes done to the John Lennon solo albums during the 2000s are actually better than these ultimate mixes that the Lennon estate has done recently? I will only give an honest answer. So the 2000s remixes, the best one of those by a mile was Mind Games, the Peter Cobbin mix. And I still think that sounds superb. It sounds a little... When you listen to it compared to the new remix, it sounds a little bit trebly. So if you don't like the sort of bassiness, is that a word? Bassiness? Of the new remix of Mind Games, then that 2002 one is probably going to be perfect for you. The other ones, I thought the Rock and Roll album, I think sounds so much better on the remix. But we haven't got an ultimate mix to compare that to. Apart from, well, there would have been one or two tracks on the Give Me Some Truth album, but I can't remember how they compare. Plastic Ono Band, I would say, sounds best in the new version, definitely. And I don't think there was an Imagine remix in the early 2000s, was there? So I think really Plastic Ono Band and Mind Games are the two that we've got the comparisons that we're able to do for. So yeah, if you like a bit more mid-range and bottom end, the new remix. If you don't and you want the clarity of the remix without that, then the 2002 version. What else have we got? Let's just have a look. 1 second. Right, I just wanted to check something here, and I've checked it now. Beatly Tone, it is, because we've had a lot of trouble tonight with people being idiots and pretending to be people that they're not, but I've done a check. You are Beatly Tone. Great that you joined us. How are you doing? I hope you're doing well. I hope that your everything that you had going on a couple of weeks ago, I hope that went fantastic for you. It's good to see you online. George, hello George. How long has this live chat been going on? You didn't receive an alert. It was quite a late decision. It was something I decided this evening to do. It started at 8 o'clock UK time, so an hour and 20 minutes ago. A lot of people did get an alert, so it's YouTube deciding, it's telling some people and it's not telling others. If you want to make sure, this is a great chance to do a plug, isn't it? If you want to make sure you get notified of my videos, you've got to hit that subscribe button, which I think you all have, because only subscribers can comment on these videos. And as they say, hit that notification bell, which I never say that. Well, I just did, but I never say that in my videos. But if you do that, YouTube should tell you that something's happening. Right, okay. Darren says, have you been doing the day-by-day watch of Get Back in January? If so, will you integrate Let It Be next time? I haven't done that. I know it's a thing, and maybe I will do at some point. Maybe I will on the 3rd of January watch the 3rd of January bit. I mean, Chris Shaw, I don't know if Chris is still here. He was here 15-20 minutes ago. What he did on his Egg Pod podcast day by day episodes was just unbelievable, and the fact that they're all there still for people to go back and listen to. If you haven't done yet, I will do a little plug for Chris's I Am the Egg Pod, which I know sadly he has decided to finish now. He's not doing it anymore, but I think everything that he's done in the past is still there. And he got a different guest on to talk about the 3rd of January, the 6th of January, the 7th. Some lucky person got the 10th, the day that George walked out. And it was just fantastic. And we're so lucky that we've got things like that available to us as fans. So I might do that. Integrating Let It Be is difficult because it's a bit all over the place, isn't it? And it's not as easy to tell. Because at least with Get Back, you know when this thing was from that you're watching. Let It Be is a bit more difficult, I think, to do that. What else have we got? Yeah, Tone says, Beatly Tone, I don't understand why no Blu-ray means no deal for some people who have been buying albums for 50 years without a Blu-ray. I think sometimes it's one of those things, isn't it, when a series starts, like it started in 2017 with Sgt. Pepper, and it's got this as a part of it, and so does the next one. When that element of a continuing series stops, it's a shame. It is a shame. Especially because for those people who want to, for example, those people who can listen to 5.1, they haven't got a lossless option now. They can only stream it, and it's not lossless. It's downgraded in quality quite a bit. So, yeah. Jimmy Jazz says, apologies if you've already answered this earlier. I haven't answered this. This hasn't been asked yet to my knowledge. Will I be going to see Dylan in November when he comes over here? No, I don't have any plans to go see Bob Dylan. I've seen Bob. I had a very nice night. I'm not massively needing to go and see him again. But who knows? The chance of a ticket might come my way, and I might think, yeah, I'm going to do that. We will see. Dinner with Greedo. Here's a can of worms. How do you think the Lennon camp will handle a remix of Sometime in New York? Especially the first track. Do you think they'll even bother to remix the album? First of all, I'll say I don't think the album's naff. I really enjoy Sometime in New York City. I know it's very political and it's a bit heavy in places, but I enjoy it. I quite enjoy it. The Look of the Irish is the only song that I really don't like on that album, to be honest. Anyway, to get back to your question. I think it will happen one day. They do have to be careful. And all I will say is I know that they are being careful, because I do know some things about this. If they feel that they can do it, they will do it. That's what I will say on this, and I know that as a fact. If they feel that they can do it, they will do it. It's already been done. It's already been remixed. The package is put together, and it's got a lot in it. Really good stuff. So hopefully we will see it at some point. That's all I'm going to say on that. David says, have I bought the new Paul book, Macca in the Long Noughties? Interesting overlooked period. No, that it's an overlooked period, and the book has overlooked me. I'm not familiar with that. Should I know about that one? I've missed out there. I hear they're doing a new feature on the one-to-one concert, so at least 72 Lennon is getting represented somehow. Absolutely, yeah. Let's get it all out there. Fantastic. Glad to see Beatley tone back, says Marcus Maximus. I couldn't agree more. Yep. I hope you're doing well, Tone, as we said. Danny says Sometime in New York is an underrated gem. I do enjoy it. John Sinclair, if you don't get wound up by the repetition, it's John Sinclair for me is one of the earliest John Lennon songs I knew, because I had that. I still love the title of this, John Lennon 4 CD set. What a great title! They don't make them like that anymore. That came out in 1990. That was my introduction to John Lennon. So I mentioned earlier that All the Best was my introduction to Paul. The 4 CD set from 1990 was my introduction to John, and John Sinclair was a song on there that I used to listen to loads. So I enjoy that. I think We're All Water at the end is absolutely bonkers, and it's a lot of fun. I really like it. Songs like Angela. I think Angela's a really lovely little song. You've obviously got New York City, which is, well, it's like the son of Ballad of John and Yoko, isn't it? It's all right. I enjoy the album. I enjoy it. Will I be going to see Midas Man when it comes out? I think is that the Brian Epstein film? Is that what that's called? I think I'm right there, aren't I? Look like a chump if I'm wrong. I will definitely go and see it. I don't know when it's coming out. Is it coming to the cinema, or is it just going to be going on to streaming? I don't have any detail. If you know anything, please let me know. And I'm sure there'll be others wanting to know as well. So yeah, let us know. Late to the party, you ordered the White Album 4LP box set today. You've done well to get hold of it. It's not easy to get hold of, is it? Where's mine? Here's mine. I didn't buy this at first. I bought the CD box set. I got that the day it came out, and it was only probably about a year later that I got this. I was in HMV in Leeds, and they had it behind the counter, and it said £55 on it. 55 quid. I'm having that. I bet you paid more than £55 for it nowadays. But the Isha demos, just fantastic, and I think they work so much better on vinyl than they do on CD. I can't explain why, but I think they just did. James says, hi Andrew, it's nice to see you. It's nice to see you too. Hope you're having a good day. It's all right. It's been a good evening. Just wanted you to know. Oops, hang on, it's all disappeared off my screen. Where were you? Just wanted you to know that everything you get in the Mind Games set, you also get streaming. Yes, please, everybody, take notice of this if you don't know it already. For instance, on Spotify. Spotify? God bless you. Yeah, and again, when people say, oh, flipping heck, it's hundreds of pounds for this. Well, okay, listen to it for free then. I always think the most important thing with any of these sets is the music. And nowadays, we're in a situation where pretty much everything is there to listen to for free on streaming. And I know even the hidden tracks they're releasing, is it something like 2 every fortnight or something between now and John's birthday? So by the time it gets to October the 9th, even all the hidden tracks will be there on streaming. Fantastic. Oh, Maxter, that is very kind of you. Thank you so much. I will have a drink on you on Sunday in Liverpool. Thank you. And I'm not driving. Oh, I am driving. I'm getting the train, but I've got to drive back. I'm gonna have to time my drinking really carefully here, so that I'm all right for the 2-hour train journey back. So I then got to drive home when I get back to this end. But thank you so much. I will raise a glass to you wherever I happen to be on Sunday with my first tipple. Thank you. Winston, hello. If MPL release Give My Regards to Broad Street and Press to Play on archive editions, I would buy those happily. Absolutely. No matter what a lot of fans say about it. Do you like those albums that much? Give My Regards to Broad Street. It's the new stuff that's on there, like No Values, Not Such a Bad Boy, No More Lonely Nights, obviously. 3 really good songs that I really like. I really like the Yesterday... was it Yesterday, Wanderlust, Here, There and Everywhere, whatever it is, trilogy that's on there. I really like that. There's some awful stuff on that album, but, you know, it's... If you're a Paul McCartney fan, it's an important part of his career, and I wouldn't want it to be missed out. Press to Play, on the other hand, I've said this before, there is no archive collection would excite me more, if announced, than Press to Play. I think that could be amazing. And I think sometimes as well, because it's a lesser regarded album, they have to make it really good to get people to want to buy an expensive box set. So I would expect there to be some great extras in that if it happens. I mean, I think it's fair to say that with Mind Games as well, it's not one of the big hitter albums like Imagine, Plastic Ono Band. Therefore, they made they really went to town on that box set. So, and I think it was partly the title Mind Games that allowed them to do that, have some fun and games, but also I think it was the fact that it's not regarded generally as one of the classics by a lot of people. I know it is by some, and therefore, if you want people to buy an expensive box set, you're going to have to put some really good stuff on it. Yeah, Chrome Destiny, the upgrade mix of Isha demos is one of the best things to come from the Super Deluxes. I think it is probably, I'm just having a look now, I would say it's probably the single greatest thing of the Beatles remix campaign. I mean, Let It Be has got some highlights, of course, getting the Glyn Johns version. Although it wasn't strictly the Glyn Johns version, it was very close, but they didn't quite nail it 100%. There was a couple of inaccuracies with it. But, yeah, I think the Isha demos is probably the best thing they've released on that set. In that series, sorry. Gareth says, anywhere I can get the White Album Super Deluxe CD. I don't know, I think it's pretty rare now, isn't it? I just keep looking on eBay. Discogs is probably the best bet. Discogs, I would say. Even though I've fallen out with Discogs because I got scammed on there a couple of months ago. Partly my own fault. Partly, I would also say Discogs' fault because they knew about this scam for months. They knew exactly what was going on and they did nothing about it. So I fell out big time with Discogs over that. Tone says, Andrew, you're going for the Mind Games meditation mixers. Yeah, I was mentioning earlier, Tone, I don't feel the need to buy them on vinyl, but I will definitely buy a download, which I know you can get on Kobo's website for about under 15 quid. So I'll be able to get they're not released. Is it been released on CD? I don't think it is it? But it's in CD quality. It might even be available in high res once it's properly announced. Once it's released, sorry. Dinner with Greedo. Wow, thank you. I appreciate that so much. Got to sleep now. We've all got to sleep sometime. Yeah. Thanks for all you do. Love your channel. Thank you. I really appreciate that. It's very kind of you. Thank you. Dinner with Greedo's got a very good channel as well. So, folks, please remember the name if you've not heard it already. Dinner with Greedo. Go and check that out. A lot of good Beatles-related videos on there. A man who's not afraid to speak his mind. I think fair to say. And I know you're not afraid to call me out as well if you think that I've gone down a path that isn't one to your liking. But it's all cool. It's no problem at all. Hi, Jay. Were you able to clean up your Fireman vinyl? Good question. I was going to cover this. That was marred by the PVC plastic covering. Right, so some of you hopefully saw what I did a few weeks ago. Let me just get it. It's I'll just pull it. Where is it? Where is it? Here it is. Right, so the Fireman Electric Arguments vinyl that I managed to get about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Saw it in the shop and fantastic. I thought I'm having that, but I was made aware immediately before I bought it that there was a problem. It had been stored in its original PVC sleeve, which is a problem. And I would say to any of you out there who've got a vinyl collection, if you've got vinyl stored in a PVC sleeve, get it out of there and do it as soon as possible. Okay. I am going to do a video fairly soon where I've been through all my collection and I'm going to say, you know, you might not have thought of it, but here's some Beatles items that have been released in PVC sleeves over the years. You might want to check if you've got these, do something about it. So anyway, I haven't cleaned it yet, but there's so many of the comments. I really wanted to read the comments on that video and see what people were saying. There was a lot of people saying, for example, don't use that is it plastic RX or polish RX that I was talking about, because it isn't abrasive and it can damage the vinyl. So a lot of people were warning me off that. There's other products that people mentioned. So I did my local record shop, Revolution Records in Selby, where I got Electric Arguments from. And like I said, they were bang up front with me about it. Here, have a look at this. This is the problem with it. Are you still interested? And I decided that I would be. So Michael there, he'd seen my video and he got in touch and said, I've got another record come in, because he takes in collections from people and then he cleans up what the stuff that's in good condition gets cleaned up and goes out on sale. He said, I've got another record in that I think suffers from this PVC problem. You can have it if you want it, because he's as interested as I am to see the results of what happens when I try and do a clean. So I went in a few days ago and he gave me this. Elvis Presley, I Got Lucky. Certainly did, if you ask me. That's harsh. I'm really interested in track 4. Yoga is as yoga does. What the heck is this album? I don't know. But anyway, this also suffers from the PVC problem. This was a Woolworths 85p album. So I'm going to practice on this soon. I'm probably going to do little bits of the album in different ways. I might do a bit of the album with, some people have mentioned distilled water. I'm going to do a bit with that. I'm probably going to get some of this this polish and do a bit of the album with that. And I'm going to see which bits of it make a difference, if any. So that is coming as a long-winded answer to your question. I'm going to see what happens with that Elvis album and then potentially do something with the Fireman album if I get good results. Right, Blue Rhythm Boy, good question here. As a music fan, have you any experiences with tinnitus? More from being in bands for 20 odd years and doing like hundreds and hundreds of gigs. And it's only in the last few years that I started wearing, for example, in-ear monitors, so that I could cut out, because before I would have a drummer like there, like 130 decibels for 2 hours each gig, 2 hours each practice session. So I did, to be honest. But I tell you what, since I stopped about 3 years ago playing live in bands, I think my ears are a lot better now. I think tinnitus is not supposed to be reversible, but I never notice it now. Whereas I was quite worried about it a few years ago. So that's a bit weird because it's not supposed to get better. But it feels like I'm not having any issues like that, which yeah. The yoga song is from one of his late 60s movies, says Justin. Thank you. I mean, it sounds like it might be dreadful. I don't know. I'll have a listen at some point. David says, I'm lucky to have the metal box set of Electric Arguments. I really wish I had that. I seem to remember it was £100, which obviously is still a lot of money, but back then there weren't box sets that were £100. It was just unheard of. And I was, like young family at the time, big mortgage. I wasn't in a position to pay £100 for a box set back then. I wish I just had done. I wish I'd just got it, to be honest. Dean says, Andrew, can you tease what videos we can expect from yourself in the next few months? I really enjoyed the Beatles story you did about the hotel visit during their 64 tour. Thank you. Do you know what? Of all the videos I've made over the last 6 years or so, that was my favourite video to make, to research and make. It was based on... In fact, I've got it here. I've still got the photo. Here that whole story is based on. I just loved making that video so much. And the young girl there, Vivian Stevenette, came and joined us at the hotel in this room where this photo was taken. She came and told us the story about how she was taken out of school by her mum. A mum turned up at school and said, the Beatles are in town. I can get you to meet them. We've got to take you out of school now. And her mum took her out, took her back to the Old England Hotel, I think it was called, in Sutton-on-Trent, on John's 24th birthday, 9th of October 1964. And yeah, I loved that. Anyway, what were you asking me? I've forgotten now. You're asking me what my plans were for videos. Well, I've mentioned I'm going to show how this PVC cleaning thing goes. I need to get back into a few things that I started that I haven't finished. Like, for example, I did part 1 of a hi-fi tour, which was my sort of digital files, how I store my digital library. And I said that part 2 was going to be a tour of my hi-fi equipment. And I just never got around to it. I think Mind Games hit shortly after that. One Hand Clapping hit. So I've never got around to that. That's got to continue. I was doing the Bottom Shelf vinyl tour that I've got within 2 videos of the end of. I've got to finish that. There will be whatever Beatles stuff is coming, which might be US Visit 1964 stuff. It might be something else. That'll no doubt hit soon. I'll be on that. And it's really weird at the moment. I should have done more videos than I have done lately. And one of the reasons I've done this live stream tonight is I'm gonna be really honest with you here. I've had like a real confidence crisis of how to do this lately. I'm fine when I press record on my camera. I'm fine, no problem. Doing the editing afterwards, love doing that. Looking at all comments and everything. It's just the thought, the planning of a video and the thought of doing it. I've just got this mental block at the moment and I'm struggling with it. I really am. I'm going to be honest with you. And one of the main reasons I did this live stream tonight was I said to myself, I've got a free evening. Pull yourself together, get a grip, man, and do a live stream and get back into loving it again. Because I've been scared of it lately. I really have. It's weird. I can't explain it any more than that. It's just like the thought of doing it has been holding me back. It's weird. I don't know. So yeah, I need to get back into it, and that's one of the reasons for doing this tonight, is to get back in front of this camera get back into the swing of it, because it's just all gone a bit to pot lately. Yeah. Anyway, where are we in the chat? There's other stuff going on as well that I'm not going into. Marcus says, I wish they would re-release Let It Be naked. Prices are silly simply because it's out of circulation. Yeah, when I bought this the other week, the Fireman album, it was down at Revolution Records. He's got this box of Beatles. He's got like a special Beatles hidden section of stuff that's come in that he's not got ready to sell yet. And he said, oh, I've got to Let It Be naked in here as well. Really? I said, do you know how much you're selling it for yet? He said, no, it's probably going to be about 120 quid. And I thought, oh, I'm going to have to back out then. Unfortunately, it's that would be good. And, you know, it's not that long ago that you could pick it up in HMV for 30 odd quid. Why did I not do it? I don't know. Anyway. David, sounds like you're logging off now. Hope to see you on Sunday. Yeah, please, if you see me. The thing is, I don't know, David, although we've talked for years, I don't know what you look like. So I'm not going to be able to say, oh, there's David over there. It's going to be reliant on you to spot me. And that goes for anybody else who's in Liverpool. If you just joined recently, I will be in Liverpool on Sunday for the Beatles, International Beatles Week. I'm going for the day. If you see me in Liverpool City Centre, come and say hello. Gareth's asking a question here. This feels like some sort of existential, deep question. Do CDs last forever? What is forever? I mean, so far, all mine have been all right. I mean, I guess it depends how you look after them. They did spout that nonsense, didn't they, in the early 80s? CDs are indestructible. You can... here, we're going to spread some jam on this CD. We're going to put it in a vat of beer, and it can't have done it any good. I don't think I've got a single scratch on any CD of mine that I've inflicted on it. I mean, I've bought hundreds and hundreds of second-hand CDs, some of which have got the odd scratch on. But I don't think in 34 years of buying CDs I've ever put a single scratch on a CD. It's so easy to not scratch them. So I'm gonna try and make them last forever, definitely. Yeah. Yeah, thank you everybody for your comments on that. I didn't know whether I was going to say that tonight, and I thought there was some comment that came up that was relevant, I think, about future content. Some UK and Euro CDs from the 80s are now bronzing. I've only had one CD that I know of that I've seen bronzing of, and it was my original Joshua Tree CD, which I don't actually have anymore. I got rid of it once that started happening. I've got a Joshua Tree box set down there that's got a good remaster on it, so I wasn't too concerned. Lossless backups. Well, I mean, how many lossless backups have I got of my CD collection? I would say I've got at least 4 backups. I lost my entire all my files years ago. I made a stupid mistake once and accidentally formatted my hard drive and formatted my backup at the same time. It had all the photos of my daughter as a child. Fortunately, I unplugged it all straight away, took this drive to PC World, and for £99 they managed to restore every single file. And I thought, I'm never going to be in that position again. I've got so many backups now. Gear, thank you. The hotel video was fantastic. Thank you. I just really loved doing that video. It was such a great story, and something a bit different as well. And that hotel where that was taken, it's like a time capsule. It is like stepping back into the 1960s, and that's deliberate. I don't mean that as an insult. They've deliberately kept it as it's like a period piece, and it's incredible to see. Beatley Tone, yeah, right, okay. Let's have a look at this from your perspective of what I was saying, really interesting that you mention a confidence issue when making videos. I can also deliberate for 3 to 4 days, yes, before starting a video, and then it's okay once I start recording. You know, it's exactly the same with me. I've got a video that I wanted to make several days ago, which was to do with PVC sleeves, and I haven't done it because I physically couldn't do it. I just didn't feel like I was capable of doing it. And I need to get a grip. I really do. Derek, hope it's everything's okay there. Paul, you've started buying the Beatles 1987 CDs again. You're worried they might become scarce, and some are apparently the best versions according to Parlogram. Yeah, I think the White Album is well regarded, isn't it? In that, when the 2009s came out, I did in iTunes. I immediately replaced all the 87 versions with 2009, but I have since, probably only about a year ago, I did re-rip all the 1987 CDs, get a backup of them just in case, and put all those into iTunes as well. But I haven't actually, I don't think I've actually gone back and listened to any of them yet. It would be an interesting thing to do. I probably should do, just to see, because 2009, in fact, it will be coming up to the 15th anniversary, won't we, soon? September the 9th, 2009, when the Beatles remasters came out. And what a day that was. That was just so exciting, I thought. Yeah, I don't think I've gone back and listened to a 1987 CD since they came out. I probably should, to be honest. Right, folks, get any last comments in, because I've been on nearly 2 hours, and that's frankly long enough for anybody. So get your last comments and questions in before we start wrapping it up in the next few minutes. But thank you, everybody who's been on tonight. There's been a lot more people on than I expected for a live stream that I didn't really advertise in advance. I did put a message on Twitter about 20 minutes before I started saying that I was going to do it. But yeah, other than that, it was pretty impromptu. I didn't think there was much on telly tonight. I thought it was a safe night to do it. Nick says, you've worked as an actor and have tour guided for years and very commonly felt anxious about the thought of doing it, but have been fine once doing it, so don't worry. Yeah, do you know, I have had this before. I used to do pantomime. Oh yes, I did. Up until about 5 years ago. I think COVID year was the last one I did. No, 2019 was the last one I did. I did it for years. And I had to give that up because I absolutely loved doing it. And the week that we did Panto was always pretty much my favourite week of the year. We did it with dress rehearsals and shows. We did it every night for a week. And it was my favourite week of the year. I loved doing it. But it was that thought of doing it. The thought of, oh God, I've got to go and do that tomorrow, was just it literally nearly broke me, did that. But I loved doing it. But it was the thought of doing it that I couldn't handle. So yeah, I know what you mean. Tim, oh, yours is my favourite YouTube channel. Thank you, Tim. I do appreciate that. I try my best. I really do. And it's, oh yes, I did, Tyrone. I really did. So thank you for that, Tim. I appreciate that. It's a shame your Panto career is behind you. I see what you did there. Very good. Yes. Yes, I've been a dame a few times in the old Panto. Justin, speaking as a nerd, I always enjoy the videos on CD storage and cleaning and storing vinyl. Keep on doing them, please. Great. Fantastic. Yeah, whenever I think I've got something that's useful to do, I will do those. I think the PVC one, I got quite a few comments from people on that video last time, from people saying, oh God, I didn't know about this. Some of them were quite sad comments where people said, I've just checked my vinyl and yep, it's gone. It's got the cloud in. Damn. And then others from people saying, thank you, I've rescued it. I think I got there in time. I think we're okay. Brilliant. Glad to have helped. So yeah, well, you know, I sort of vaguely knew that there was a PVC issue, but I'd never really thought about it. So this has made me learn a lot more about it. And I'm thinking, if I don't know it, then maybe there's some other people who don't know it as well. Yeah. Mike, I hope you get over that issue. I know how you're feeling. I know how you're feeling, and I hope you can get around it somehow soon. Tyrone, do I suffer with anxiety? I mean, I would like to say no, but maybe the evidence that I've given in the past few minutes would suggest otherwise. Maybe it's something I have to consider. I mean, I do know a lot of people who do publicly suffer with anxiety, and I don't think I do, but maybe the evidence suggests otherwise. So I don't know. Blue Rhythm Boy says, "Why on earth do they package them in PVC?" Yeah, it's crazy. And even now in HMV, do you know what? There was a little bit of... I had to edit something out of that last video about the PVC sleeves, because I'd said something when I was recording it where I'd said, luckily they don't sell you stuff in PVC sleeves nowadays. And then after I'd recorded it while I was editing, I'm thinking, is that right? I'm not sure that's right. And I did a bit of research and I found that, no, actually, HMV are still selling these things. So I thought I'm going to have to cut that bit out of the video. So crazy. I don't know what... Now, this is a great question here from Jambo Geordie, is it? Because this is something I've wondered. Can anybody answer this question? For the PVC issue, are picture discs okay? So I have rescued several picture discs just recently. I'll give you an example. I mean, this doesn't look great now. The Paul McCartney Home Tonight in a Hurry. This was in a PVC sleeve. It's now in one of my vinyl sleeves that I use. This isn't PVC, this is safe. And to be honest, that doesn't look as good. But I don't know whether picture discs are affected or not. So let's have a look. Can anybody answer that? Because I just don't know. I don't know. Yeah, Chrome Destiny. You get social anxiety, but you're talking to people on the internet. It's weird. Yeah. I always used to get told that I was weird for going and standing up on stage, doing gigs and doing the pantomime and things like that, when I'm actually a very shy person. But that's like, you're playing a character. It's not me on stage. I couldn't go on a stage as Andrew Dixon. Not a chance. Forget it. But I'll go on stage as a character. I'll go on stage as the Sheriff of Nottingham in front of a few hundred people and be an idiot for a few hours. That's no problem because it's not me. That's somebody else in an outfit. That's fine. And when I was in bands doing gigs, I would almost... It's not me. I would think like I'm a character in a band. I wasn't. It wasn't like a tribute band or anything. I wasn't playing somebody, but in my head, I had to not be me. I'll be the character of somebody who's a guitarist in a band, and I'll play that person. It's weird. Yeah, Mike. Okay, you've forgotten about that, but go and rescue your copy if you've got the George Harrison vinyl box set from 2014. Have a look in there because you've got 2 picture discs in PVC sleeves. Get them out of there, as I have done. Right. Here we go. Thank you, David. This is news and not good news. Picture discs get absolutely ruined. My Julian Lennon Velotte picture disc is now totally brown. Now, brown? Is that more like mould or something then? Because the thing that we're talking about is like I don't know if it'll show up on here. It's like a sort of a cloudiness. It's like a white cloudiness. Let's get this Elvis one out. I don't know if... This isn't my best camera that I use for live streams, so I don't know whether this will pick it up or not. But it's like a white cloudiness. Now, is it that it's white and then it turns brown after even longer? Or is your brown something different, I wonder? I don't know. Interesting. Jambo Geordie, you've got several you've owned since the 80s that still seem fine, but you swap them if needed. Now, if they've been in there since the 80s and they're still fine, maybe they're going to be okay. Yeah, I was the walrus. Yeah, that's not me on stage. It's a walrus. Yes. I like that. Right, I tell you what, folks, I've been here 2 hours. That's enough for anyone. So I'm going to wrap it up. But thank you so much for joining at pretty much zero notice. I really appreciate it. I've had a good couple of hours that's got me back in the mood. Thank you. Thank you. So I'm going to go now. Because my throat's going anyway. But thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate it. And I will be back soon, I promise. Remember, if you're in Liverpool on Sunday, look out. Come and see me. If you see me, say hello, as Bob Dylan once said. Nearly, almost. I'll see you later. Bye, everyone.